So in this tutorial we are going to pick up class and object. So let's understand what is class. So class is a basic template kind of entity which allows us to create an object. Objects are runtime entities and we'll actually create the objects and the class. We'll be able to understand that. So say for the instance, in any of the software development that we do, we can always relate a class with a real-time entity. Let's say you are designing up this school management system, then you would be having some class which is named as a student class. So in Java, the student class is defined as class as a keyword, where the C is small, very important thing to understand, and then the name of the class. So as per the Java naming convention, the first character of your class should be capital. It's not necessary though, but it's always better if we can keep the first character of class as a capital. And then within the class body, which is the starting of this curly braces, we can define our own attributes or the variables. So say for the instance, in a very simple sense, let's say every student is going to have a roll number. So we are going to define a roll number for the student within the student class itself. Now after this, once we have a roll number, we need to set the roll number for the student, and we need to access the roll number for the students. These are the methods called as the setter and getter methods. So over here we can say that it's public void get roll number, which will essentially return the roll number. So since we are returning up a roll number, we need to define this return type of the method to be integer type, and then we would be having public void set roll number. So here we would be accepting up a roll number here, so which is like roll number. So this roll number is called as a local variable, which is a local variable which is specific to this function itself, specific to this method itself. It is not accessible outside it. This variable is called as an instance variable, which is accessible with each and every student over there. So to make it more understandable, let's say I am giving it here the R number, and then here I'll just say that roll number is equal to R number, which will do like it assigns the value of R number, which is a local variable, to the instance variable, which is basically the variable which is associated with the class level. So these are the class level variables, and this is the method level variable. Now once we have the student class getting created, we can go back to the main method and then type here student s, which is equal to new student. So the new keyword in Java basically creates a new instance or the new object, and we would be defining like new class name, these curly brackets, which are essentially called as the constructor brackets, and those will be the student object will be referred with a reference called as their s. So s is something which will allow us to create the reference. So when you say s dot set roll number, so which is nothing but whenever I create a student object, I need to set the roll number for the student. Let's say I'm setting up the roll number for the student as 101, and then we can just go for system.out.println and then try to print the value of roll number. So we can just say that s dot get roll number. So what are we doing here? We are creating an object of the student, we are setting up the roll number of the student, and then we are accessing up the roll number of the student. When we run this, we can actually print the 101 value, which will be printed over here. Now if we'll try to create another student, it's possible. So we can just say that student s2, or we can just say this, we can keep it like s1 and s1. Now we will say that s2, which is equal to, I'm creating up the another student over here, which is nothing but another object which is referred by another reference, which is s2. And then when we say s2 dot set roll number, let's say we are setting up the 102 as a roll number, we can again go back and just say that s2 dot get roll number. That means we are accessing up the roll number which is referenced by the s2 reference. and s2 is actually pointing to a student whose roll number is 102. So when we run this, we will see that we will have 101 and 102. So the benefit that we are getting is once we create a class structure, we can actually create as many students as we want, and that's what object orientation programming is all about. That once you create a class template, you can create the objects from that class. You can write down a small loop, for loop, where we can create 100 students using the same template with same class that has been created over here. So that's what we want to cover up today: how to create the class, how to create the object, and how to call the methods which are associated with the class using the reference.